Suddenly, she grabbed my throat and lifted me into the air. I struggled to breathe. I kicked and thrashed, but couldn't break free. Then the ghost threw me against the wall. I was badly hurt as I hit the wall and fell to the floor. Robbie and Olive ran over to me. They helped me up, opened the door, and we started running. I was in too much pain to run. My whole body was drenched in blood. As we reached the 4th floor, the manager blocked our way. Blood was dripping from his eyeless sockets, and his long tongue came out, licking Robbie's face. Seeing this terrifying sight, Olive screamed loudly. I was too scared to scream or run. Suddenly, I felt someone licking the blood off my neck. My body shuddered as if struck by an electric shock. When I turned around, I saw the ghostly girl with her long tongue out, licking the blood from my head injury. She was cutting flesh from her own body with a sharp knife and eating it. Seeing this, my head started spinning. At that moment, Robbie screamed loudly. I saw the demonic manager biting chunks of flesh from Robbie's body and chewing them. Just then, I screamed loudly. My whole body was drenched in sweat. I breathed a sigh of relief. It had all been a dream. But why did I have such a horrible, terrifying dream? Then I remembered the writing on the wall. I felt compelled to check if the writing in my dream matched the real one. Thinking this, I got out of bed and went to the wall in the corner. The whole room was lit by a dim light, but one spot was very dark, and someone seemed to be standing there. Strangely, the dim light should have illuminated that spot, but it didn't. I went closer and saw that the dark spot was glowing brightly, though I had seen it as completely dark a moment ago. Nothing made sense. What was happening to me? First, the terrifying nightmare, and now this. Dismissing it as a figment of my imagination, I approached the wall to read the writing, and what I saw made my whole body tremble. Hanging from the ceiling fan was the body of a girl who had hanged herself, staring at me with large, eyeless sockets and her tongue sticking out. And the writing on the wall was exactly as I had seen in my dream, "Cursed Guesthouse." My whole body went numb with fear. Where had we ended up? We could all lose our lives here. No, we had to leave this place immediately. Suddenly, I noticed the girl's hanging body was gone. This scared me even more. I ran to my friends and started shaking them, but they wouldn't wake up. I took a water jug from the nearby table and splashed water on their faces a few times until they woke up. Olive groggily said, "Buddy, what's wrong? Why are you waking us up in the middle of the night?" "Buddy, we can't stay here. If we want to survive, we need to leave right now." "But why?" "Robbie, I showed them the writing on the wall, but my friends didn't believe me and started laughing." Suddenly, they stopped laughing and stared at me with wide eyes. It was very strange. Why were they looking at me like that? And why were they trembling? It seemed they were terrified of something. I asked, "Hey, what are you looking at like that?" Olive, with a trembling voice, said, "Buddy, look behind you." I turned around and was shocked, beginning to feel immense fear. What I saw was exactly what I had seen a little while ago, a girl with her tongue out, wide eyes, and her body hanging from the ceiling fan. Seeing this, Robbie said we needed to get out of there. I thought to myself, now you believe me. We quickly grabbed our bags and left the room. Outside, we were all shocked to see that the entire building looked burnt down. But when we had arrived, everything had looked so beautiful and well maintained. Was it just an illusion? While I stood there, Robbie grabbed my hand and pulled me downstairs. Suddenly, we all stopped in our tracks as we saw the manager floating towards us in the air. We panicked and quickly ran into a room. We thought we were safe, but we were still in danger. We saw a girl on the bed biting and tearing apart the body of a child. Robbie screamed loudly. I quickly covered his mouth and said, "Be quiet, or we will all be killed by these spirits." As the girl ran towards us, we didn't wait, we ran out of the room in fear. On the second floor, we encountered another problem. We saw several people crawling up the stairs, so we hid in a corner. But we didn't notice that there was a spirit sitting next to us, sucking blood from a dog's corpse. Its face was covered in blood, and it was tearing the dog's belly apart with long, black, crooked nails, chewing on its liver. Seeing this, we all covered our mouths. We were trembling with fear. We were trying to move away slowly, but it didn't work. The spirit scratched Rubby's back with its sharp nails, making him scream in pain. Rubby writhed in agony, and Olive and I grabbed him and ran. The spirit shouted after us, "Where will you run? You will all die by our hands." We finally made it out of the building and were gasping for breath. We never expected such a nightmarish experience. Olive said, "Buddy, let's get out of here right now." "Yeah, let's go quickly. Otherwise, we'll all die at the hands of these spirits." Olive and I were holding Rubby and moving forward, but we didn't know what awaited us. We saw the manager along with many others standing there. They were all floating in the air, laughing loudly at us. Seeing this, we were petrified. Our bodies were shaking. Tears were streaming down our faces, and we were thinking of our parents. I wished I could see my parents one last time before dying, but that opportunity wasn't meant for me. The spirits, armed with sharp weapons, were advancing towards us. We screamed loudly and fainted. Just before losing consciousness, I heard the sound of the adhan. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a hospital. My parents were sitting beside me, crying. When they saw I had regained consciousness, my mother hugged me and cried. I later learned that I had been unconscious in the hospital for 7 days. I asked my mother where Olive and Rubby were. Hearing my question, my parents sobbed. My mother said Olive was alive but barely, and Rubby had died. He was killed in a very brutal manner. Someone had torn open his chest and taken out his liver. Hearing such painful words from my mother, my head started spinning. I felt immense sorrow for Rubby. If we had left for the railway station as Rubby had suggested, he wouldn't have died. Tears rolled down my cheeks. Suddenly, I noticed something in the corner of the cabin. I jumped out of bed and stood up, seeing Rubby with his arms outstretched, calling me to come to him. I ran towards him but couldn't touch him. He disappeared. I screamed, "Rubby, come back, buddy. I want to hug you and ask for your forgiveness," but Rubby never returned.